Welcome to Fan Zone Live. Everything, looking at everything from Arena Football One. I'm Tim Capper along with Scott Burke. Welcoming once again, man who transparency galore from this man, and we're glad to have him back again. Have him back again this week. Billings Outlaw owner Steve Titus. Steve, thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here tonight.
I know there's talk that we want that the people want I'm sure that are tuning into, and we are going to get that. We are going to get to that. I promise. People are probably rolling their eyes and sighing right now. But what I wanted to ask you was about the announcement today from the league and the addition of John Gruden, Steve, to Commish Fish's ownership group there in Nashville. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on it.
What a score. There had been some talks about this for a few weeks now. And then, Commissioner called me yesterday and let me know that this was all going down today. So it was a great, big, I think it's a huge announcement for the league, and it went viral. It was on ESPN, NBC Sports, CBS Sports. It went viral. And so we expect to really kind of go off some momentum we have here. Coach Gruden being part of the league now is a great win. And I think it's just the tip of the iceberg. I know that there's some more very well-known individuals that are looking into ownership, both in the league level as well as with some teams. And so I think that Commissioner Fisher doing what he does is working great, and I expect this to be a sign of things to come.
And obviously, for people who are longtime watchers and followers of arena football, they'll know the last name, obviously, because his brother Jay Gruden he's one of the goats of old school arena football, whether it be a Arena Bowl champion, whether it be a quarterback or head coach. He's very well known, obviously. And I think one of the things, too, Steve, is that one of the things I think that we actually learned too for the very first time, because there really wasn't much talk of it, and maybe you can give it a little bit more insight if you can on what you can talk about, is the actual ownership group in Nashville, which we found out is called Fisher's Football Ventures LLC. I think that's the very first time that the league has said publicly what the name of, I guess we could say, Jeff Fisher's ownership group is in Nashville. Are you able to tell us a little bit more besides, if you can't give the names, I understand, but other than the two names that we now currently know with Commissioner Fisher and John Gruden being a part of the ownership group?
I think that's a better question for Commissioner Fisher to really address. I know he owns the overwhelming majority of the team. I mean, substantially most of the team, but who owns what would probably be a better picture or a better conversation for the commissioner and to address how that's all structured in Nashville.
Oh, and it's not that I was asking about. I'm just curious to know what your thoughts on the group itself, because as I said, it's the first time I think most fans have actually learned about the name, and probably now have learned that it's not the old ownership group. People were wondering what was happening with Nashville earlier in the year, and now we know why. It's because it's a brand new ownership group for the Nashville Cats this year. So,
I think spending a lot of time in Nashville lately, I think that if there's one name that's synonymous with the Titans, if you have five names, Jeff Fisher's up there. Everyone knows Commissioner Fisher. I mean, you can't go anywhere and someone not talk to him. And so I think that it just letting people know that, Jeff's in charge of everything, both on the ownership side as well as on the league side, is really important. And I know Jeff's doing what he needs to do to expand both the Nashville footprint on things as well as expand the league's footprint on things, and getting Coach Gruden involved. Well, when he called and said Gruden's involved, I go, oh, so what's Jay going to be doing? And then he goes, no, his brother. And I go, oh, okay. Now I actually guessed the wrong Gruden too when he said, well, we got Gruden as part of the ownership now, and I actually guessed the wrong Gruden. So it's funny you say that, but no, it's a great day in AF1 history, and really it's just a sign of things to come.
I agree. It's, as I said, as we talked about, I think you're back with us in week 1 or week 0, whatever week you were with us a couple of weeks ago. Things have changed, obviously, and I think I've gone along swimmingly league-wide. Real quickly before we ask you about some other things, team-related and stuff like that, what are your thoughts now leading into week 9 of the inaugural AF1 season?
What a great game yesterday between Albany and Salina. I mean, what an amazing game. That's what the product needs to be looking like weekly, we would all love that. I foresee a few rule changes, some tweaks, either coming up here in week 9 or going into the postseason regarding overtime rules. I think it was overwhelmingly popular that our rules are unpopular. And, I think at least me watching the game, I'm thinking to myself, please don't get a deuce, please don't get a deuce, please don't get a deuce, because we would have got murdered online if that game would have ended on Henry Nail scoring a deuce at the end of the game. That would have been terrible. So I think we're going to see some modifications and some tweaks to the overtime rules in the weeks, probably in the very near future. And then, the football has been great football. We're all kind of adjusting to this AF1 fill. Being the only league on national TV is great. I mean, we're making some modifications throughout the season of, the production of the on-air talent and things like that. So we continue making tweaks to continue to improve our product, but it's getting better and better by the week. And, we're going through the League One growing pains that I think any professional sports league goes through. But I think we're doing the right things that we need to do to continue pushing the league football to ensure that we're the premier non-outdoor league in America. So I think we've had some mistakes. We've had some learning opportunities. And I really believe that we won't be making the same mistake twice moving forward.
So the one good thing about that overtime game last night is at least both teams got to touch the ball.
Yes.
So it still played out well that both teams got to touch the ball, because even if it was, Salina gets the ball and throws it deep, it's over in one play. That's still rough.
And Commissioner Fisher called me today, and we were talking about overtime rules, and that's exactly what he says, that both teams need the opportunity to touch the ball. And I think everyone was dreading if the Deuce scored to end overtime, that would have been that's not the intended ending of these games, but that's what the rules say. But I see some tweaks coming up here in the next few weeks or in the playoffs. The commissioner has some ideas. A lot of people don't realize how involved he was. I mean, being on the competition committee for all the years when he was with the Titans, I mean, they write the rules for the most part. And so he has some very creative ideas to make the overtime rules as exciting as possible, more so than just a sudden death type situation or an NCAA rule or an NFL rule set. But really, we have an opportunity here to create a very customized overtime rule set that can create some real excitement to the overtime situations.
Before we get too far away from the ownership topic, is there anything you can tell us about Corpus? They've got a game this week.
Last I know is they plan on playing in Oregon. I think they're playing in Oregon this week. I have no reason not to believe that they're not going to Oregon this week.
So everything's, as far as you know, still alive and up and running. Even that, I'm assuming they're going to add more folks to their roster, considering they dropped most of them last week.
All I know is that they have their flights booked to Oregon. I don't know anything else, and I let the front office deal with all of that. I can just say is that it's whatever's going on there is a situation that who knows what's happening. I mean, we can all read online what the conjecture and the speculation is, but I can tell you that
they plan to play.
They plan to play this weekend, and that's all I know.
Fair.
It's fluid.
They plan to play this weekend. I don't know what else.
Not getting beat by 80-something. We should be good. So
that product is unacceptable. I mean, that can't be happening. And whatever happened for that product that's semi-pro BS. And we want to be on betting lines. We want to be on national TV. We can't let that happen. And so I think we're taking a hard look internally, what fell apart and what needs to happen to make sure that doesn't happen again.
I think for happening one time, all right, it's a novel thing,
right? But
it definitely can't keep repeating. As long as it happens once, you can say, hey, we scored 100 points in our league, then drop it from there.
Agreed completely.
what I think is funny, and maybe it's a question that we need to ask Jerry Kurz about. And I understand. I'm curious to know what his thoughts are, and I understand what you're saying, Steve. Because in my opinion, yes, I understand what the score was. I understand the situation that happened in Corpus that week. Um, what I think is funny is that if they're calling a 100-12 game embarrassing based off the situation, what happened in the early days of AF2 when Jerry was basically the head of AF2 when you had two teams score over 100 points also. So I'm just curious. I just really just putting stuff out there. I'm curious to know what his thoughts were, but it's probably a totally different situation.
It's a
But
minor league
either
at
way,
that point, though. It's not.
yeah, that's true. That's true too. And by the way, speaking of the overtime rules, there, Steve, um, the game still can't end on a safety, right?
Agree.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
yeah,
agreed.
but yeah, but still, either way, I agree that I think it should go back to get both teams to have at least one possession each and take it from there. But hey, we'll be waiting for if the league announces what the modifications are. We'll be waiting with bated breath, obviously, because the league HQ has been pretty good when it comes to announcing stuff on social media when we've had when we've had firsts. Um, talk to us about Billings here, Steve. I know that it's not going currently the way you would want to. At the moment, I know your team has lost 4 straight. Your team has made some has had some modifications. Um, you've been able to take advantage of, I guess we could say, Corpus Christi's misfortunes by bringing in some big name players. Obviously, there's just a matter of um, getting used to the game itself, getting used to getting used to the quarterback and getting getting some reps with the quarterbacks. Um, what Can you walk us through bringing in DP? Can you walk us bringing through some of the guys that you brought in from Corpus?
Yeah. So I think a crucial part of our problem right now is our quarterback situation. I think that's a crucial element of the team that's really struggling. Our offense is struggling. And so I think that, bringing in a new quarterback is a huge step in the right direction, because that quarterback component is so important in terms of leadership and in terms of knowledge on the field, of helping the younger guys with routes, things like that. I think that leader is an extremely important position that we need to get figured out. Um, the defense needs a little bit of work. Special teams, I've told Coach Walker this, and he acknowledges it. And again, I'm not a football guy. I'm a fan, and most fans, I can tell you, 99% of fans know more about football than I do. I'm just a lay person that is watching a game and noticing things. I noticed that when we return kickoffs, we don't get as many yards as the other guys do. I mean, that's what I notice. And so special teams, I think, needs a lot of bit of work, because we weren't. They were getting great field position every time. We were hardly getting great field position. So I know that coaches are working on making some adjustments to special teams. But again, I'm not a football guy like that. And so it'll be announced tomorrow. We'll have a new quarterback. He just got to Billings. Malik Henry is going to be joining the Outlaws, and I think that he'll be a great sign. Malik has a lot of talent. We just got to get him focused and get him to where he needs to be to keep the momentum going forward that we have with our new signings. How that all came about was, you can read online. We've heard for a few weeks that things were kind of falling apart in Corpus, and so we have a few players down there that played for us last year, and they kind of just reached out to Coach Walker to see if we were interested in signing them, and kind of things just spiraled from there. They knew guys and other guys, and they know in Billings that we're going to pay our bills, we're going to make sure our players get paid, and that they're going to have 3 meals a day, they're going to have housing, they're going to have good work comp coverage if they do get hurt, to protect them. And so we started talking to them, and we got the guys up in Billings, and they've made quite a change very quickly to the team. And I mean, we're 2-4 right now. We went out the season, we're 8-4. We'll probably at 8-4, you're going to be solidly in a playoff run. And so I expect there to be quite a bit of change on the team, and our offense and defense and special teams here in a very short order. So I expect I'm not too awfully worried yet. It's just I would be rather losing games now than in the postseason.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, well, people breaking news from Billings owner Steve Titus. Malik Henry is going to be the next. It's going to be the next quarterback in Billings. And you're talking about special teams. You know, Coach Walker's kind of has taken the, I guess, the lead from what Albany has done, but also use his experience. And you guys pick up Dean Faithful as your kicker, and he's made a hell of a difference when it's
Yes.
come to your kicking game too. So that's improved your special teams slightly, but as you said, it's just a matter of getting better from there. I don't want you to go into specifics because I wouldn't ask you that in this circumstance, Steve. Everybody potentially knows that the potential price tag for a player like Darius Prince. Was it for you being the owner? How much convincing did you need in order to sign DP at whatever you signed him at?
Darius called Coach Walker. I was with Coach Walker. We were in Billings. We were in a meeting, and Darius calls him and says, "Hey, Coach, I want to come play for you." And Coach and him called numbers, and I think the first thing Coach Walker says, "Hey, we don't have Albany money in Billings." And to Darius' credit, he said, "I just want to play football and I want to win." And so I swear, I was sitting right there. He goes, "I want to play football and I want to win." And so, whatever kind of reputation Darius has, he's been one of the nicest guys that's ever played for me and Coach Walker. So to his credit, we got the gang together. We got some numbers figured out and we got them in Billings.
That alone, Steve, I think just shows everybody the type of GOAT that DP is. Really.
Well, and the kind of organization you're running too, because he's not going to make this offer to every team.
No. And I think that the reputation Coach Walker has and Coach Hibbert have really play a big role in that. And I mean, I'll openly admit, if I didn't have Coach Walker or Coach Hibbert, I don't think I get some of these players. I have guys that know the game, that have won in the game, that have been at every level, and Randy and Coach Hibbert and Darius played against one another. I mean, so I think that your coaching staff is incredibly important to get these quality of players. It becomes more about money. It becomes more than just about money.
Well, and look at Malik Henry's stats back in 2023. It looks like it is pretty much his best year. Went 10-4, over 3,000 yards, 60 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. That's such a difference maker. That is such a difference maker.
You're going to see Malik and Darius do something special, I think, in Billings.
Oh, I would be surprised. We've seen what Darius has been able to do with a Tommy Grady. We've been able to see what Darius can do with, I think, even with the Sam Cashano, right, Scott? Didn't he play with Sam also, if I'm not mistaken? So, yeah, I can only imagine what it's going to be like. And as I told Scott last week, growing pains is this new week with new players, but coaches seem to be owners seem to be learning that. Having experience with coaches that have played arena football are a huge plus, but also being able to use their contacts, so to speak, in order, as you just said, to get the players that you do have. So,
yeah, no, it's definitely been an interesting last few weeks, but I think that the ship is going to get corrected here very quickly. And we have Washington this weekend and Southwest Kansas the weekend after. So the next 2 weeks will be very telling weeks for if this strategy that Coach Walker and Coach Hibbert have put together is going to come to fruition as we've planned it to.
Yeah.
Definitely, it looks like a bright future. A little rough start, but it's all about how you end, especially when you're looking at so many teams making the playoffs.
And that's another thing is I think the league will be putting on an announcement very quickly or in the near future about a kind of an adjustment to the playoff structure.
Interesting.
I would guess it's going to be a 4-team playoff. I don't want to say anything yet, but I think we're going to make that. We're going to narrow down the playoffs a little bit and really make it something to be competitive for. Because I mean, right now Billings is on the outside looking in, if we were to have the playoffs starting today. So you're going to see it get very competitive very quickly for that number 2, 3, and 4 seed. It's going to be a race to the finish. Instead of the top 6 seeds, it's like, everyone's going to get in, and it's going to be, mundane football. I don't mean to be like that, but it's, you get the top 4. Any of the top 4 teams can win as shown by yesterday's game. Right now, what's Salina? They would be are they a 6 seed right now? Salina's 6 seed?
Salina is they're 5-3.
No,
I think.
There you go. They're 6
Yeah,
seed.
yeah, they're 5-3, so they're 2 seed currently.
no, Salina.
Oh, sorry, Salina. Yeah, sorry.
So the 6 seed, almost 1 seed
in my head
last night. So you're going to see things change around probably a little bit. Corpus, I'm not sure what team they're going to have put together. Things are going to get very interesting very quickly. And I think moving to a 4-team playoff, 1, will save team owners money because you're in the season quicker. 2, it costs money to produce these playoff games. And so you're going to save money on the league side of things as well. But you're going to have a higher quality football, I think, too. But, who knows? I don't want to say what for sure is going to happen with the playoffs, but it wouldn't surprise me if we end up going to a 4-team playoff.
So are we looking at a June 7th championship?
I think they're working on dates.
Or July 5th.
I think the owners are going to vote on it tomorrow, but we're going to look at a few different options here for how the playoffs will be structured.
Because 4th of July weekend's a tough sell.
Oh boy. Yeah. But remember, there was going to be a week in between anyways, between the I think the semifinal and the net and the championship game, whatever it's going to be called. So you brought up a good question here, Steve. And it's in this type of circumstance where the league may want to make a modification to whether it be the playoff structure or whatnot. Besides the Board of Governors, how much say does your broadcast partner have? And this is right now, as you said, this is a hypothetical. But if any changes were to be made in this type of circumstance, is it a matter of letting your broadcast partner know and see what they say, kind of feel them out? Or is it a matter of, this is what we would like to do. What do you guys think based on what we, I think it would have been 5 weeks of playoffs originally, if I'm counting correctly. But how much say does the broadcast partner have?
I think it really depends on the situation. Obviously, we have the 2 broadcast partners. We have Evergreen now and Vice Sports. And so I think a conversation will be held with them. And I'll give it to Vice. They are extremely, extremely flexible. If we need to preempt a game and have it on the weekend or change it from a Sunday to a Friday or a Saturday, they've been somewhat flexible. So I don't think Vice will have a problem with it. But, a conversation has to be had with the production people, both TV and our production crew, to make sure everyone's on board before we finalize anything, and we make sure that the dates are solid.
Speaking of, without a Sunday game this weekend, when is the Vice game? Is it your all's game?
No, we're on Washington and Billings is on Evergreen now.
Okay.
It might be the Oregon game, actually.
The Monday night game?
Yeah, it might be. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't
know.
I'm trying to remember what if they did a promo. Usually Vice will do a promo.
It's Albany, Nashville. Sorry, I knew that. It's Albany, Nashville. Sunday night.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Saturday or
Sunday? I think it's Sunday afternoon.
Sunday.
Okay. We need to talk to Adam. That's not what it says on the schedule.
Don't quote me on that. I know that I am 99% sure the Vice game is Albany, Nashville this week.
And that could be a good one too.
Yeah. It's a great game. That's going to be by far the game of the week. That's going to be an amazing lineup because, Coach Arbet's been really refining his team, and they've looked really good. And then Albany showed a little bit of vulnerability last night. So I think that's going to be an amazing football game. Even when I was in Nashville, the last time Albany flew down to Nashville to play him, it was a great game. So we're going to see something special Sunday night.
Since we were talking about it, just give us, you've obviously had praise for them so far. Talk about the relationship you guys have had with Vice, because as you said, leagues made tweaks. You have talked about changes in broadcast teams, et cetera, changes in broadcast, the graphics package, et cetera. And I mean, despite some of the games that haven't been that close, though, overall as an owner, how are your thoughts on the how the Vice broadcasts have gone so far?
Vice has treated us extremely good. It's been a long time since a network paid an arena football or indoor football team to have their product on TV. And so, our relationship with them is great. They're getting good viewership numbers. I mean, we see the numbers. I think we've peaked at, I don't want to misquote here, but right around 30,000 viewers in some of our games. You have no other indoor game getting 30,000 views. You don't have any other arena game getting 30,000 views. It's not happening. And so the Nelson ratings are showing good. We're seeing some good demographics. Obviously, we need to figure out how to get more females interested in the game, because that's that's something that the NFL has done extremely, extremely well, is getting females involved in the game. So we got to work on our demographics a little bit. But everything else is looking very promising. They're happy. From what I understand, they're very happy with the product that our production crew is giving them to broadcast, and they're happy with their numbers. So I hope that this is a sign of great things to come with a relationship with Vice.
I'll tell you what, the key to getting the female demographic involved in this game, and John Pettit, a former general manager, owner of the Iowa Barnstormers, always said, the men buy the season tickets, the wives renew it.
Yeah.
And there's something about the personalities, getting the players' personalities. It seems like that's what my wife has always bought into is the people. Yeah, behind in those helmets.
And it's hard for a mom, and I mean, it's easy, I think, for parents to say, son, hey, no, we're not going to go to the game tonight. But I think it's a lot harder to tell a daughter, hey, we're not going to the football game tonight. So I think the NFL with Taylor Swift has done that amazingly. I mean, when you start seeing, barefoot wine commercials during an NFL game, it's telling you that they're doing something right and they're targeting the right people. And so it's something that I think, as we formulate our vision moving forward for the league, we have to focus on what do women want and how do we get them that product.
And I think having Dr. Welter involved in the league last year was also a huge step. I'd love to see her come back. She was great.
No, Jen's great to work with, and we've had some talks about her coming back. I know she really wants to be in the booth, doing play-by-play, some analyst stuff, and so we're having those conversations ongoing about what our product needs to look like for years to come and in the future. And so we're just making sure that we get the right people in the right places moving forward. And definitely we've talked to Jen. Nothing's really come about, but we'll see how things progress moving forward.
Rob, I think this is the dream right here. You get Taylor Swift owning the team, and this
we'll even waive the franchise fee if Taylor wants to own a team.
Right. Honestly, putting Kansas City with Travis working and done, sold out every night.
What? If Jen were to become I think would be the first female broadcaster for arena football. Please, anybody correct me, but I think that would be the case. Closest to that would have been Jill Arrington back in the TNN days, but she was the pregame host and sideline. Yes, correct. So,
but Jen would be excellent, absolutely excellent for.
Well, and when I was talking to Jen about this, I wanted her to do sideline because she would be that gal who would go and interview. She'd push her way onto the field. She would be asking for plays like Brett Muncie was during the Arena Bowl. She'd be going to walk. She'd go talk to the white hat and ask them in the middle of the game. She'd be asking them why they're doing what they're doing. Like, that's what you need in this game. And that's what I think we're missing.
And she's bold enough to do that too, to just
absolutely. She's going to do it until she's told not to. I mean, that's what we need is we need someone to be like, where's Jen going now? What are they doing now? And that's one thing I think that we see moving forward is that kind of interaction with the TV and with on the field. I think we saw some of that. Personally, I remember this very vividly is the Orlando-Nashville playoff game last year that was on CBS Sports. I remember that the white hat accidentally left his microphone on and he was yelling at Dean Kokinos repeatedly. And I loved hearing that interaction between the white hat and the head coach that I think is just so amazing that we really need to get creative with our production. And I think we're going to have a really kind of I know that there are people in the management group that share this ambition with me to give a product that's, I mean, you watch our games, they're great product, but it's standard football. Like, it's nothing special. We need to figure out what that something special is, move it into our game, and then have that fan experience even more, because, we want those awkward interactions. We want those interactions that, we wonder what people are saying, more mic'd up things. I think that we really have a great baseline moving forward, but we're not where we want to be yet. We just need to make sure we get the right people, the right production company with the right vision to get that, to make sure that our fans are getting the biggest bang for their buck, both on the Evergreen Now games as well as on the Vice TV games.
Well, one of the cool things.
I'd say Tina Cervasio is another long-time name. If anybody remembers the New Jersey Red Dogs and the part that Tina took when it came to broadcasting also. So they're arena football's been the front runner with a lot of new stuff that, that everybody uses today. So if you guys can make it happen, Steve, by all means, man, it's just improving the product. It's just improving the product on television and on the field. So
back in the day when they used to wheel out the big 70-inch TV in front of the refs to do the challenges, and they mic'd them up and you could hear them discuss it. Okay, now rewind it. Let me see this again. That was such a nice touch to the former broadcast. I'd love to see something like that again.
CBS Sports did that during our playoffs last season, and it's a great addition. And I don't know why the NFL doesn't do that, but they should. It's just even if they were charging extra on on their DirecTV packages for that, or their YouTube packages for that. I mean, it's like, you're paying $400 a year for that. It's just, it's stupid, but there needs to be something added to the fan experience. And I think if there were studies or any kind of polling or data out there that shows what fans want, I think that kind of sideline exclusive interaction is really something that fans would be really receptive towards.
Like I said, it's about the personalities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's funny to say the UFL is actually the leader when it comes to that type of thing for transparency for replays. They right now are the leader. CFL doesn't do it. NFL doesn't do it. NCAA doesn't do it. You know what I mean? It's a matter of if it can be done properly, like the UFL does. Why can't anybody else? The arena football has been the leader when it comes to new technology. Why can't certain things be? But I get it. It's all about the television product and the broadcast itself, Steve. You don't want to overdo things and make things the same every game. You know what I mean? It's like It's like, oh, it's another call to the booth type of thing. You know what I mean? So it's again, it's about being the leader.
Well,
becoming the leader in arena football.
And I think something that needs to happen is we need to, and I think it would help the national broadcast and even our Evergreen Now broadcast, is our referees, our officials, our white hats need to do a much better job explaining the rules and why they're making decisions they are. That's something the NBA does amazingly well. If you watch a replay on an NBA game, the whoever calls that will explain it very vividly why they're doing what they're doing. And obviously the NBA is doing it correctly. That's something that our officials in our league need to do better, is explain why they're making the decision they're making. Sometimes they call, personal fouls and not even explain what the personal foul was that they're calling. And so they need to really be more descriptive of and inform the fans why they're doing what they're doing, because that'll look good on TV as well and help inform our viewers why things are happening the way they are.
Kind of like what they do in the NHL.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. We were going to get to it sooner or later, Steve. After the loss this week, it was obviously you've seen some firsts and stuff like that. I'm sure, fourth straight loss, being the first ever team in AF1 history to have a bar ball interception go back for a pick six. It hasn't been fun over the last couple of games, but from what you said earlier in the show, things are going to be going to be improved. Obviously, there were some comments that you put out on social, and
yeah,
I think everybody's curious, really. I mean, is it for what you said? Was it out of frustration, Steve, or was it a combination of things? You don't have to go through point by point, but I mean,
no,
obviously, there are certain things that you said that resonated. Not only it made the Albany newspaper, their story was done there. I don't know how much traction it got in Billings or the rest of the league itself, or their member cities. But what can you give us some thoughts behind your thought itself when it came to this post?
yeah, a combination of things is one. I meet with our social media team pretty frequently, or they'll send me what things are saying, what people are saying. So I kind of get a grasp of what the feel is on the ground, and we're getting criticized a lot a bit that we need to be signing better players, that we need to be why we didn't sign the last crew that we had last year. I've talked about the latter of the two. First, why we didn't sign the same crew as last year is one, they were paid a whole heck of a lot more than what our team is making now. The minimum salary was different last season. And two, it's a different game this season than it was last season. Last season, we signed our crew or our players, and all teams did, thinking it was going to be Iron Man football. You don't want the best player for every position necessarily. You want most guys that can play 70% of the best position, but they can play both sides of the ball. It's a little bit of a different game. This year with free substitution, you do get the best position player that you can possibly get. And so, you kind of get criticized, why aren't you signing better players? Why aren't you getting this? Why aren't you getting that? And it comes down to, this is a business. I invested a ton of money into the team and into Billings last year. And we look at, as any kind of business person does, we look at ROI. What did we get on that return on the investment? We got a championship for Billings, Montana. That's what we got. What did that equate to for an ROI? And I kind of made these talking points, and maybe I shouldn't have said it, but I've always been transparent in how I feel, the way I feel about things. The fact is, as one says, yeah, does it suck to lose? It's not a good feeling. But at the end of the day, I try to look for a light at the end of the tunnel. I try to make a bad situation into a good, and that's why we made the changes that we did to, I think, our quarterback situation. Number two, player salary budgets to be competitive or higher. I mean, Albany it's no secret, paying their guys a lot more than most teams are. That's why they're good this year. Also, they have a great coaching staff. They have a better situation in Albany than we have in Billings. I mean, I'm not going to be the first to talk about. I mean, it's not a secret. They have bigger corporate partners. They're bringing in more revenue. They have more funds because of that to give their partners. It goes down to number 7 as well. Housing costs are quadruple what they were last year. Albany has an amazing housing deal. I don't want to go into what it is, but it's 6 figures less a year than what my housing deal is. So, I mean, if we didn't have a horrible housing deal in Billings, that would be $100,000 more a year to spend on players. Albany, Salina, I mean, we saw the articles. They have municipal support. They want, these organizations in the community. They want pro sports in the community. In Billings, I can't even get the mayor to return an email to me. I mean, I don't know what to do. State of Montana, we don't get any tourism dollars. We don't get any professional sports dollars. They won't even return an email. Number 5, our second number 5, our arena rent is up. It is what it is. I mean, they need to make money, but also to piggyback off that, we get terrible dates in Billings. It's the only big arena in Montana. We get terrible dates. We get dates on Sundays. We get non-preferable dates, and we are midway through the season and haven't had a home game. If you don't think that that doesn't affect player morale somehow, then I don't know what does. We're just not prioritized in Billings. Work comp, that we got a work comp bill that's nearly double what it was last season. That's, $70,000 that I wasn't expecting to spend on a work comp bill that comes out of player budgets. It's hard to do business in Montana at the end of the day. Corporate partnerships, we had to raise our rates on corporate partnerships. We have another home game this year. That's more cost. That means we're giving more of a product to our corporate partners. We got to pay players more money to play another week. I mean, corporate partnerships are actually going to go down. Our tickets, we have some of the cheapest tickets in all of arena football at $18. I don't know what the Metro charges for fees and costs and things like that, but I can tell you our cheapest tickets in the lower bowl are $18 a ticket. And so it's hard to justify staying in Billings when we're getting terrible turnout. We're advertising on TV, we're advertising on radio, we're advertising on social media heavily. And I didn't come here to vent or anything like that, but this is very much I'm talking to you as from one business owner to someone who wants to know the business of arena football in Billings, Montana. I'm telling you this because I'm very transparent when it comes to how I run my organization. And so when you look at the dollars and cents of continued football in Billings, Montana, it's going to be tough, but I want to see how the next 4 home games go. We tried to negotiate a new lease at the beginning of the season for a multi-year deal. Our arena wasn't interested in talking multi-year deal at that point. Only wanted to do a 1-year extension and then kind of talk about it more after the season. And at this point, I just spent a ton of money on a new field. And so we'll see how the season goes. Our minds, the team's mind's not made up yet of what we're doing. But unless attendance drastically increases and we see an increase in corporate partnerships, it's hard to continue to want to do business in Billings, Montana. And maybe there's local people that can do it better than I can. I'll be the first to honestly admit, if there's someone better that can do it, call my office. You can buy a football team. But and I'm not here to vent or to say anything else, but are these legitimate things that I look for when running a business? I mean, I have a very successful law firm. We have a successful real estate business that owns a whole bunch of real estate in Wyoming and in Montana. And these are kind of the metrics we look at when deciding whether a franchise should stay or not. And I think even more so is that from a league level, these are the exact same metrics we look for whether a franchise can be sustainable or not. This is when we're looking for expansion franchises and in expansion markets. These are the exact same things we're looking at. What kind of government support are you going to get? Municipal support, state support? How much is your arena going to cost? What's your expected attendance? What's your work comp look like? What are your housing costs? This is the exact same thing that we look for at a league level when determining whether a franchise is sustainable or not. So when I wrote this, I didn't mean for it to go as viral or get as much attention as it does. And Billings has the most amazing fans. I mean, they treat our guys like they're rock stars in Billings. I mean, but the fact of the matter is there are cities in this country that have amazing fan groups as well, but they end up losing their pro sports team. And just because of these factors right here. And so no decision's been made yet on next year, but it would be a lie to say that we're not exploring a move to other cities at this point, just based on the metrics for sustainability that we're exercising when determining whether a new franchise should be added to the league or not. I think one thing as a good steward of the league I have to look at is these metrics and put them on myself to make sure I would be able to be awarded a franchise moving forward.
What would you say, Steve, to those, based off what you have said and what you have said here tonight and stuff like that? What would you say to those people who, and I'll give you a couple of examples that I've seen online. A, it's just sour grapes, based off you're on a current 4-game losing streak. B, why didn't you just, instead of AFL/AF1, why wasn't it the IFL or another indoor league? And do you think, because I don't know what you need to average, what you would like to average, obviously you want to try to fill that place every week, but what you would need to average in order to make it
Yeah.
that to make it that you would be in Billings next year
Yeah.
versus somewhere else?
Good questions. So your first question was sour grapes and being on a 4-game losing streak. No, I think that whether you win or lose, the finances are still the same. I mean, you don't get a bonus from the league if you win. You still have to look at these metrics. And so as we go into our home stretch now, our next 4 home games, at our league championship, whether it be in June or July, we expect to announce expansion franchises at that time or soon thereafter. And I think one thing that the league is going to want to know is league arena dates. We want to set our next schedule. I think this year we started our schedule too soon. It cost the teams money because we started it too soon. Because the fact is, we started last year in mid-April, I believe, and we're ending about the same time as last year. So we added a whole bunch of costs for our teams that was unnecessary. So I know that there's some ideas floating around of when the season should start so that we don't have so many buys. And so, I think that whether we won or not has no impact on my feelings of the future of the franchise. 2, IFL or AF1. I think the IFL has a great product. Billings won the first 2 IFL championships, and so we have a history in the league. I think that travel is quite expensive in the IFL. You get more home games, but I think that the IFL travel is a little much. For example, we went to Southwest Kansas last weekend. A rule of thumb that I've always lived by is you pay $1,000 for each hour of travel on a bus to go one way. So it was about a 12 or 13-hour drive down there. Our guys leave in the middle of the night. They wake up, they're there for lunch. So it's about a $13,000 bus trip. And so, you double that for the away games. I mean, you double the travel budget because there's I think they have a 16 or 18 game regular season. And so you have to be making money on your home games. And I think there's a lot of home teams that still aren't making money yet on their arenas. And that's why I think we've called this model the sustainable expansion model kind of internally in the league, is that, we'd love to have the big markets join the AF1. We'd love to have the big markets. We'd love to have the Philly. We'd love to have Georgia. We'd love to have, Denver. We'd love to have LA. We'd love to have those, but those arenas cost a lot of money. And, you need 10 or 15,000 people at those arenas to even come close to breaking even. And so what we look at is a sustainable model of maybe smaller markets where you can get a better deal with your municipal governments on arena cost, where you can get a better deal where you don't need 10 or 15,000 people to break even. But if you get 2,000 or 3,000 people, you're making a huge profit for your game. For Billings, we would need probably between 4,000 and 5,000 regularly to attend our games, probably to be at the profit level that we need to make it sustainable. But
4,000 paid, right?
Yes. Yeah. And work comp becomes the issue then, because, the season's longer, there's going to be more injuries, your work comp rates are going to go up. We have probably the second highest work comp in all of indoor arena football in Montana. And so, the only place in the league, you look at Washington, they're a third of what we are. Albany's is higher than ours. But you have a lot of other places that are a fraction of what Montana work comp is, and they're getting bigger turnout than we are. So it's hard to make it feasible when Montana has this kind of arbitrary high rate. That's always been a problem. Even back in the days of Billings Outlaws IFL, work comp was always a problem in Montana. If you look at, when I owned the Wyoming team, work comp was $12,000 a year, $15,000 a year. Wyoming work comp is very affordable. I mean, 1/10 of the amount of what Billings is. And so, we're looking at the different markets, and that's one of the things we're taking in is what are the work comp laws? What are the work comp rates? Is it a state mandated policy? Is it a private competitive policy? Or is it Colorado has a public-private entity that competes with the private insurers. And so every state has to be analyzed a little differently when determining the feasibility and whether a franchise can survive there or not.
Well, what I'm hearing too is you're not giving up on this game. It's not the game at all.
No. I mean, the game's not, but I love arena football and I don't see myself leaving it anytime soon. The only thing is that Billings may not be our home. I don't know that yet. I mean, we haven't decided yet. It'll be a conversation we'll have in the next few months, with the league, with our coaching staff and things like that, as well as the different arenas to determine whether we can make it work there or not. I don't see myself at all leaving the game, and the Outlaws aren't leaving the game. But to say that the Outlaws may leave Billings is not. Billings had a chance to keep me for 3 or 4 years, and the Metro didn't want to do a multi-year contract at the beginning of the year. And so it just got me thinking about things. And that's exactly what happened. Is I can tell you the moment that the Metro said they didn't want a multi-year deal with me, I said, I'm not investing 7 figures into a town that doesn't want to do business with me for the long term. I mean, that's exactly what got me thinking about whether my future's in Billings or not. And then it kind of just spiraled from there when we saw corporate partnerships down. And then when we saw work comp just double, as like, well, maybe this isn't where we need to be. We're looking at things objectively. Billings has the best fans in the world. And this sucks for them. But this has to be a feasible endeavor. You just can't pour good money into a bad situation. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I can tell you that we'll be open and transparent about what does happen. And there will be Outlaws football somewhere in 2026 if it's not in Billings, Montana.
What you bring up a good point. You say what you said on the internet. It did what it did. What's the difference between mentioning it now and potentially alienating fans who wanted to come see a game for the rest of the year versus keeping it in-house and then making the decision known at the end of the season?
Transparency. I'm not going to give people the wrong idea and say that I use them. I would rather get the criticism now that I've kind of really thought about things, and instead of being called used. That's one thing I don't want to ever be called, is that I used someone or used something, because I invested a lot of money into Billings. I mean, I own a place in Billings. I'm there. I'm in my house in Wyoming right now. I have court all week for the law firm, but I am more interested in being transparent about things. I mean, I spend more nights a month right now in Billings than I do in Wyoming. And so I kind of want to see what happens. Maybe the Metro will change their mind about a multi-year arena contract. Maybe work comp will redo its rates. Maybe the city will finally return my emails. The mayor will finally decide if he wants professional sports in the city or not. Who knows? And so I don't want to blindside anyone if we do make a decision to pivot here. And I want to see kind of how things change. I hope it doesn't alienate fans. I hope it doesn't stop fans from going to the game, because the decision's not made yet. But at this point, and also maybe there's someone locally that can run the team better than I can, and they need to reach out to me to say, hey, we're interested in buying the Outlaws. And if that happens, then I'll be opening a team somewhere else. But we'll just kind of see how things play out in the next few months and then kind of go from there. But I don't want there to be any surprises. One thing I hope people can always say is that I've been open and transparent with where the team's going, with the league's going, and things like that. And I don't want to catch anyone in surprise if we make some decisions in the few months that Billings may not like.
I always used to tell fans, if in the very last home game they're throwing T-shirts out like crazy and merch is discounted, don't expect to see them back next year.
That's fair.
How was the Outlaws? How are you guys in the community? Because somebody's mentioned something here in chat. I'm curious to know how much. Because I've even seen in the CFL, I've seen with it previous. I've seen indoor football, minor league baseball, etc. They're very. They're always within the community itself. How is the team within the community itself?
That's really, I'm not around as much during the week. I know some of the stuff that guys do. I know they go to schools and do things like that. I don't know. Most of our guys, we don't have any guys from Billings this year. And so I think that hurts. There's a lot of teams that have local guys on there so they can be, hired year round, go to events, go to things like that. We don't have any local guys this year as part of the team. So, it probably could be better. It could probably improve. One thing we did do is, and was a great partnership with the mall, the Rimrock Mall. We have our team store in the mall. I mean, we get a lot of people coming in and out all the time. We have that visibility there. We tried new things to really kind of and our season ticket sales are up this year. And so there's a lot of good things that the team's doing. Can things always get better? Can we be more involved with the community? Absolutely. But, we only get the guys for a certain number of weeks here. And so I think things can always be better. Things could always be worse. We could be doing nothing as well. And our guys could be getting in trouble, getting arrested, things like that. And that's just not who we are. So I think that there's always room for improvement.
Okay. I've noticed in the amount of time that I've known you, Steve, you've always been very transparent, and I applaud you for it because, in sports, there would be that owner who would wait till the end of the season and say bye, you know what I mean, and not give a rat's ass about the community itself. But I mean, it's obviously the best case scenario is the
We're in
attendance
Billings forever.
will increase. Yeah, it'll increase drastically, and you'll be in Billings in 26.
Well, and a little squeaky wheel gets some people contacting you back, and things happen.
Yeah. Since you've been in indoor football, and we're not just talking AFL because that was it's completely that was a whole other monster. But since you've been in indoor football as an owner, Steve, what do you think you yourself as being an owner have learned the most when it came to the sport?
Yeah. So it came to me, I don't know if you know this, Tim, but I had a county commissioner here in Gillette where I live most of the time come to me and say, Steve, hey, the local indoor football team's for sale. You should buy it. And I go, I don't know. I've never been to a game. I really don't know about it. And then I started thinking about it and I go, this will be good advertising for the law firm. I go, this could be good. Everyone watches the game. Everyone goes to it. I'll just use this as a marketing tool. It'll be a cheap marketing tool. We'll go with it. Go to my first game. Gillette, we lose to a semi-pro team. And I go, wow. I mean, is this what kind of product I own? And so we got rid of the coaching staff. And that was a blessing in disguise that we lost to the Dallas. I forgot what they're called. Prime. I think it was the Prime. Yeah.
The same team went down to Louisiana last year.
Yes. Prime. We lost to the Prime. And we fire the coaching staff. And then I meet Cedric Walker. And him and I kind of just clicked right away. And we got through the season. We had a few wins. We made the playoffs. All was fine and dandy. Then we kind of build up the team and we get a great partnership with a local hotel here. And the first thing you learn in indoor and arena football is the art of the trade deal. Everyone said that, you trade food, you trade sponsorships, you need this A, B, and C done. Well, they can provide A, B, and C, give them some season tickets, give them a box, something like that, and get it in return.
Barter. Don't you love barter?
You do. I mean, that's what you learn. That's the first thing you learn is bartering and the art of the trade deal. I never needed barter. I'm a lawyer. People come to me to hire when they have a criminal matter or when they get in a car crash. Like, that's what I do. That's my thing. Then we kind of invest in real estate. We own a whole bunch of apartments, RV park, and commercial real estate, things like that. And I've always been successful at it. Like, I've really not struggled with it. It's always kind of came naturally to me. Indoor and arena football is its own kind of world. So you have to really be a good salesperson to get these partnerships. And I've never really been that good of a salesperson. I mean, you really have to work to get a sale in arena and indoor football. And it's almost like, I don't want to say a car salesman, but it's kind of that same mentality. Being a lawyer is a lot like working at Starbucks. When someone comes into Starbucks, you don't need to upsell them. You know you're going to make a sale. Like, you really don't have to work for it that hard. You just have to have a good product, be consistent, and perform. And that's all you have to do to get a sale. Indoor and arena football is really, you have to work to get a sale. Like, it is hard work. And so it's really been a learning curve for me to get on that sell side of thing that I didn't really understand. And so it's been an interesting transition. I think one thing that you learn too, being in indoor and arena football, is winning cures everything. Typically, you start winning. Someone didn't get their cheese and their cracker that came with their box suite, or they were one beer short of what their package offers. Like, winning kind of cures that sometimes. Oh, hey, sorry about that. And instead, can we do things better? Absolutely. Can we do more advertising for our partners? Absolutely. And so winning cures a lot. And that's one thing that I've learned. And so I personally, in Billings, expected to see a bigger return on our investment when we won a national championship. I expected to see more corporate partners. There's nothing else in Billings or in Montana except for MSU football and Montana University football that can put more eyes on a product than Billings Outlaws football can. And I expected to see more desire to be part of the Outlaws organization this season. So, did we raise our prices for our corporate partners? Absolutely, because they were getting more of a product. We got a brand new field. We got more home games. We had national TV broadcast during the season. And so there was bigger bang for your buck naturally. It's going to be an increased cost, and I focused the increase of costs on our corporate partnerships, not our non-corporate partners, our single game ticket holders, as well as our season ticket holders. We kept prices flat, $18 for a ticket. Metro's going to charge, our arena is going to charge their own fees. It was $18 for a ticket to come to a game. And you see the rumors of Orlando charging $70 for a ticket. That's preposterous. Mm-hmm. And I don't see there being many more teams that charge under $18 for a ticket either. I can't give these tickets away. We still have bills to pay for every home game. I'd love to fill up the arena with free tickets, but it's not feasible.
Well, and you still pay for the arena fees on those free tickets, right?
Absolutely. You have to pay a comp tickets charge. We get 500 comps per game that we give to our to our box suite holders and things like that. But if you give about 500 tickets, we're paying per ticket. The other big thing is with our arena deal at the Metro, we don't get any percentage of concessions. If you see our Kansas teams, they get a portion of concessions, and typically the Metro has been very hesitant to give us any concessions, and it was kind of a non-starter topic. So we're the same size as, we're a little bit bigger than Dodge City and Salina, and yet they don't want to give us any concessions. It's just a tough market. It's just a tough market because there is a lot of demand to use the facility because there's nothing like it in Montana. There's no competition.
Ever thought of cross promoting with University of Montana football and stuff like that? Get the guys come out. I know it's a different time of the year, and I get that. It depends on when spring football. Spring football is a good example.
Yeah.
Has it ever been a thought in order to potentially improve the knowledge of the football fan in Montana that the Billings Outlaws do exist?
Truth be told, I will tell you multiple times that I've begged Coach Walker to try to get Dalton Sneed to be our quarterback, because Dalton Sneed was Montana State's quarterback, and I thought it'd be great for us. So yeah, there's been obviously a lot, or we've talked about that MSU, but we have a lot of Montana State Bozeman fans, MSUB is in Billings, and Montana State fans that support Bozeman, and then there's a lot of University of Montana fans in Missoula, and it's really a rivalry. It's very split in the town who supports which team, but Montana State's still an hour and a half, 2 hours away in Bozeman, so it would be difficult. It's tough.
How about leaning on previous history, whether it may not be your incarnation of the Outlaws, but that type of thing, because if I'm not mistaken, I think one of the biggest names in indoor football for the Outlaws was Chris Dixon, if I'm not mistaken, because I know
Yeah,
he had yeah, a cup of
yeah.
coffee in the AFL with Orlando, if I'm not mistaken, and stuff like that. I mean, do you think something like that? Now, mind you, yes, I know there's appearance fees, yada yada. I get that. But ever thought of doing that maybe for one of the Billings home games?
Yeah, we have uh, Billings' old head coach, Haran O'Neill, is actually Salina's head coach. And so you
Hmm.
typically get good attendance at those games because everyone wants to see Coach O in Billings because Coach O still lives in Billings. Um, and so that would be really good. We've Chris lives in Arizona, I believe, and we talked about him coming to a game. One of the other big players, Maniah Smith. Maniah is one of our assistant head coaches, and so we keep that connection however we can. Should we be doing more with our past? Absolutely. Could it draw more people? Absolutely. Right now, our focus is trying to win a football game.
For sure. And I know you've been frustrated too, because I think, uh, I don't remember the name of the newspaper. I guess we'll call it the Billings newspaper because I know they're on. I know what site they're on, but
Yeah.
their publishing. I think I heard second or third hand, but I think this is right. The number that they have produced for one of the home games really wasn't what it should have been, what had been announced, et cetera, et cetera. And you just want to make sure that all the correct information is going out. It was the Easter game. It was the Easter game where you weren't happy with the number that was actually published. And it's just a
I
matter of getting the correct information out there to the public.
Right. I mean, there are more than our Easter game had 900. First off, Easter Sunday was the first available home date.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible day, but it was in Albany and it was a national broadcast game. So we had those two factors that were heavily in our favor. Plus, it was our home opener. So if we're going to have terrible days to have a game, I guess those factors weigh heavily in favor of that being one of the better case scenarios. But we had more than 982 people there. I don't know if that's just scan tickets or how that works, but
Right.
can turn out be better. Yeah. We want it to look good on TV. And I think, objectively speaking if I'm playing my role as being part of the league management group now. How does the arena look on TV? What's their attendance? And let's look at these financials. Those are the things we're looking at. Those bullet points we talked about earlier that were on my Twitter or my X. Those are the bullet points we look at objectively for a league or for a team that's in our league. And we've got to do what we've got to do to increase those numbers. And it comes down to, I don't know what else to do. I mean, we look at TV, we have TV commercials. Do we have Facebook? We have Facebook ads. Do we have radio? We have radio ads. I don't know what else to do to try to make it work. Could we be giving away more tickets? Absolutely. But again, we're paying
unhealthy profit, any.
It's not, because we're going to be paying people to come into the arena at that point. We have, vouchers out there. It's kind of the Shrine Circus model. If you buy one adult ticket, you get one youth ticket for free. And so we're hitting things as hard as we can, and I'm not sure what else to do. It's tough, being successful in other businesses and kind of struggling in this business because, me and my team, we know how to run successful organizations. This one just seems to be tricky. And so we look at, is it the market? Is it us? We look at things very objectively and kind of roundtable these things. And so we're going to do what it takes to make it successful. Our goal, if we had to set a goal right now, is to stay in Billings forever. But I think that we have to really look objectively into the situation. Is there another market that can meet our needs and our goals better than Billings? And I think every sports team in America absolutely is doing the same thing. I mean, I think you're going to see that conversation happen in the next few years with the Chiefs. Is it going to stay on the Kansas side, or is it going to go on the Missouri? I mean, you're going to be on the Kansas side or the Missouri side. Is it going to stay in Missouri or not? I mean, that conversation is happening.
It's actively happening. Yeah.
Actively happening. And so it's the same conversation that I'm having, that my team's having now with the Outlaws, is where should we be? Should we be on the Kansas side or the Missouri side? I mean, that's exactly, it all comes down to what's in the financial best interest of the organization using certain metrics. And those are the metrics I gave.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and it's funny you talk about that. I mean, you see what You know, Arrowhead's been around forever. You see the $1 billion stadium that they want to build in DC, on the steps of old RFK, what they've done in California. It's just $1 billion arena
Mhm.
stadiums now. Um, in in the best case scenario, Steve, if we were to look forward to 2026 as an example, if you could tell, if you could set everything up according to the way that you would want it, and the television partner would be on side of it. If you were to ever have a television date, what what is, in your opinion, that you have done through all your uh, research and stuff like that? What is the best day for a Billings Outlaw home game?
Saturday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Absolutely. We had that playoff game with Nashville last year. Late, it was in late June, early July, and we had a later than usual. CBS Sports had a late broad. It was after I think it was after the BC game, and it was after the BC game because it was
Oh
on the
yeah, you're right. It was CFL, AFL back to back. Yes.
yeah, and it had to be in the late time zone because it was on the Pacific time zone. So I know it was BC, and our kickoff was 10 p.m. Eastern. It was the latest game we ever had, but it was one of the best games we've ever had as well. 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. It was one of our best turnouts. It was amazing energy, and it was a great game. And so 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time would probably be our ideal kickoff for a game.
Seems to hold true for most venues from what I've seen.
Yeah.
That
It's
Saturday
true.
7 p.m. just seems to be the sweet spot for this game.
Yeah.
I think the television contract is growing pains, right, Steve? As I said, you're obviously, the league's happy to have the partner, and as you said, you're, as you said, getting paid for it to be on TV. Um, it's just a matter of tweaking them going forward. As I said, it's a brand new, technically, it's like the days of when Fox Sports first started up. You're just starting something new, and as you said, it's the way they're going too. It's that with them picking up Big Three basketball as an example over on Vice, et cetera. They're just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So it, growing pains for television are good, I would say, going forward, because then they themselves get to see where the ratings did the best. And if they didn't do so well on an Easter Sunday, well, there may never be an Easter Sunday game again.
It does. And I want to make sure that what we're doing is the right thing to do as well, because I can honestly say, I'll sit on my couch when I get time, or I'll be on my phone and I'll get a notification that says, this game just went live, like IFL, this game just started, and I would watch an IFL game. I don't get those notifications anymore. I don't have the IFL app. When I haven't had time to sit down and watch, I still haven't watched the last 3-4 weeks. I haven't watched any of our losses. I haven't watched the whole game. I have it on in the background, but I have not sat down and watched a game. And so I wonder if this paywall thing with the IFL doing is the right decision. Personally, if you're to ask me, making an uninformed decision, I would say no. But maybe it's working for them. I feel like less people are watching the IFL product, but I don't know that. That's pure conjecture and speculation, because I would expect less people to be watching an AF1 product if we had a paywall behind it. But who knows? Maybe it's working for them. But I hope that our apps get set up, especially the Evergreen Now app get set up, as if you have a history of watching an AF1 game and an AF1 game is starting, that a notification pops up on the app that says, hey, this game is live.
That would be nice.
That's true.
Yeah.
I never thought about that. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Beyond
growing
Billings.
pains. It's growing pains.
Yeah,
For
so
sure.
beyond Billings, where, and I know you know more, but don't want you to get in trouble saying more than you need to. But where do you see this league next year? Where do you see this league in 5 years?
I think the first thing is we have to make sure that we're doing the sustainable growth model that I talked about, that we're doing. And I know that the management committee of the league is on the same page with me, is that, okay, say, there wants to be a team that opens in Philadelphia. The Philly Soul are coming back, hypothetically. I'm not saying this is by any means happening, but I'm just using it hypothetically. Is it the right ownership group? Is it a group that can sustain, huge losses for the huge bill at Wells Fargo. Are they going to play at Wells Fargo? Are they going to play somewhere else? If they're going to play somewhere else, what is their hotel situation like? What is Philly's hotel situation like? What does their work comp policies look like? We have to make sure that we're growing at a sustainable growth, at a sustainable rate. If we had 10 new markets next year that came on board and they're great owners, they have the financial liquidity to sustain a few years of losses. Do they have the great policies needed and the great setup for the marketing, for the turnout, for the outreach? We would have 10 new teams next year. If we only had one new team next year, but all the teams that are in it now are sustainable and will continue on down that path, then I would say then we only have one new team. But I think that we have to have a very sustainable growth, and that is by looking at each team on an individual basis to make sure that they have the right ownership, that they have the right situation necessary to make sure that we're growing the way we need to grow. Would I like to see, like we talked about earlier, the right technology for our broadcast games, both on Evergreen now as well as Vice? Yeah, absolutely. Would I love to see our arena championship game be on A&E? Absolutely. And that's not out of the question, is that, could we have our championship game on a major broadcast partner? Right. I mean, as we know, A&E owns Vice Sports. And then if you want to really go down that rabbit hole, go on to Wikipedia, find out who owns A&E. I mean, you really can go down that rabbit hole of really seeing this thing grow. I mean, you can go on to CBS Sports 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and you're seeing reruns of cornhole tournaments, tag competitions. You're seeing sports that you didn't even know existed. And I think to myself, why aren't we there? I see on my phone, I'll be scrolling on Facebook, and I see a world wiffle ball competition. You see those wiffle ball guys doing great things. And so I remember I'll text, Andy Gelcher and Mike Quarta from Albany and say, why aren't we here? What do we need to do to get here? And it comes down to having the right people in the right positions. I expect to see kind of a search happening, a nationwide search happening for those people to put in the right positions moving forward, that we have the right social media content creators, that we have the right visionaries, that we have the right people that can get us those national sponsorships, that has the Rolodex of connections to make sure that we are getting to where we need to be moving forward. So I don't know what that looks like yet. I think that's more of a management group conversation. Jeff knows everyone and their brother, their sister, their mom and dad in the football world. And it wouldn't surprise me if we see someone, come in from the NFL to really get us to that level and have that knowledge and those connections to really get the league to the next level. I think we have a great product as it is right now, but it's the same product that we had 40 years ago. I mean, there's nothing special about it. We have rebound nets, we have footballs, and we have TV. I mean, there's nothing different. We got to figure out what arena football looks like in 2025 and beyond, and we need that visionary to bring us there, because we have the same product that we did 40 years ago. I mean, it's the same thing. We've got to increase the technology. We got to increase that visionary. And I think that we got this first year under our belts. We got the foundation built with no drama or as minimal drama as possible. And now we need to build that nice house on this solid foundation to get us to where we have other teams from other leagues wanting to join us. We have people that want their own teams, wanting to be AF1 and not any other league. So I think that the future is bright. We just have to figure out what that future looks at and how we get there. But I think the first step is realizing that our product is the same product that we had 40 years ago. And every other, you look at NFL, that product is so much better than it was 40 years ago. We got to get caught up with the times.
I will say my dream championship game is to be the end cap to the ESPN Ocho week. That the whole Ocho week leads up to the arena championship game at the very end.
That would be amazing. And I think that ideally, I think that we see our schedule get pushed back a little bit. I think we started a little bit too early this year. But if we could time that out perfectly, I think that'd be great.
By the way, just I had to look it up since Steve talked about it. Just for those who don't know, A&E is owned by a 50-50 split of Hearst Communications and the Walt Disney Network.
Who owns Walt Disney? Or what does Walt Disney own?
Everything.
Exactly. So, I mean, the future is bright. I mean, we have once we got our foot in the door and we gave a solid product, sky's the limit. No other league has been able to do this except the Arena Football. I mean, AF1. No other league has been able to do this. Whether however solid you are or not, or how many teams you have, no one else has been able to do this. And this was only year one.
And you've learned. We talked about this at the beginning of the year too, Steve. You guys have learned when it comes to vetting. You guys are going to take that experience from what happened earlier in the year with the other teams that did not play or that left before the season started. It's just a matter of, as you said, getting these owners in here that have the liquidity that can lose some money over potentially a 3-year span, and going forward. And again, it's as you said, it's a new league. You have people who have been involved in arena football for the longest time, and as you said, new ideas, and you know, it's just a matter of putting new things into the game itself without changing as much as you can, I would imagine, but just changing it slightly enough where it becomes again the day where, oh shit, AF1's on. It's Billings versus Albany. I gotta make it's must see TV again.
Excuse me. There's no reason to change our product. Our product is amazing. It's an amazing. I remember the first time I walked into the Billings Metro, TDS fiber field. I remember the first time I walked in there, and I saw the rebound nets, and I go, "What the hell are these things? I've never seen these, and they just are mesmerizing." The first time you see rebound nets, they take your breath away. Like these are like, this is amazing. And I think that's one thing that we haven't been using enough of yet this year. But I mean, if you're at the end of the game and you're down by 5. I don't know if you'd be thrown. I think we need to be using the rebound nets more. That's what they're there for. But that's just me. But
I agree.
But we're 2-4 as well, right? We're 2-4, so I really can't talk about what we should be doing right now. I think the presentation of the product is what needs to get up with the time. Our product's amazing. We just got to increase the presentation of it with 2025 and beyond technology.
Well, and I'll say too, at the brawl at the mall, you were kind of occupied that day, but hearing the people walking by and stopping and watching the games, the amount of people said, "Oh man, I remember this. I used to go to those games all the time." Just triggered people left and right of like, "Oh, this is great." Like,
these are the visionaries that we are in this league. I can tell you that I saw on Instagram or on Facebook on Daz and Sports, they had boxing in Times Square this last weekend. And I text Mike and Andy and I go, why can't we have an arena football game in Times Square? These are the visionaries that we have in this league to do things that no one else thought about doing, to get as many eyes on the product as possible, to get as many eyes and views and impressions for our sponsors as much as possible. And that's the visionaries that we have in this league that really see that vision as well as, why aren't we having a football game in Times Square? We had it in a mall in New York. Why aren't we having it in Times Square in New York? And so I think those are the ideas that you're going to see moving forward. I mean, we would have one there this year if we had the right sponsor and the right setup was done. We would play in Times Square tomorrow, I think. And so I don't think that anything is out of the realm of possibilities to increase our content and to increase the visibility of our league and our sponsors and our players and things like that. Because if people aren't watching NFL, if people aren't watching CFL, we want them watching AF1.
And it's funny you talk about doing one of those type of must-see games. Different leagues take a certain while in order to do it. AFL did one where the Utah Blaze did one outside. They played an outdoor game. You had, the Pittsburgh Gladiators able to open up their arena roof and to play outside for a couple of quarters. You have the Canadian Pro League up here, the CEBL. They're going to be playing, Steve, they're going to be playing their first outdoor game in Montreal.
That's cool. That's really cool.
So it's just a matter of, it's not necessarily that it is it's a spectacle or a niche event. It's just a matter of trying something new to get eyeballs on it and to show that the game has evolved in such a way that hopefully it can win over the older fans that are um, maybe just completely bashing the league for whatever reason, or bashing indoor football for whatever the reason is, to give them a reason to watch the game again. And sometimes it takes a niche game. Why did the NFL change how they did the Pro Bowl? Because it got stale.
Yep.
That's why they changed it. Why did the NBA, why did the NHL change their All-Star games? Because it got stale.
Home run
So
derby every year changes.
Yeah.
And I think there's a way with our current product to where we can invite the younger crowds, the younger viewers into our product. One thing I can say is like the 18 to 29 demographic that everyone really, or 18 to 35 demographic that, everyone strives for. Vice is real happy with our numbers on the younger demographic. But we have to do what it takes to keep them. We have to retain them. And I think that's where you saw, and I don't think we'll ever go gimmicky like FCF. FCF was very gimmicky, but they got a lot of eyes. They got a lot of views. They got a lot of eyes watching the game. But I could see that there's a lot of technology that FCF uses that we could incorporate into our game to both keep the traditional crowd happy as well as to retain new viewers and to expand to those new viewers as well. There's an art to mixing both of them. We just have to be able to mix that correctly.
That end zone camera was great.
Yeah.
The video game style look down the field. That was great.
Yeah, the one behind the nets. The slack.
Well,
nets,
the
exactly.
FCF was their main camera.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think Vice tried that on a couple of games also, which I think was a view that you rarely ever see in arena football. As I said, it's that type of thing, and it's it's funny, guys. You look at how much people hate, love to hate the old NHL on Fox glowing puck.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure all you guys remember that.
Yeah.
I love that thing.
But the thing is, sure, it was a niche thing. It went away. But even today, when you look at some of whoever's broadcasting the games, it still exists in some form. I mean, you wouldn't see that. You wouldn't see virtual ads on boards. You wouldn't see, you know what I mean? It's things have grown in such a way. And if you think about it, as another example, the NHL switching to the Four Nations tournament this year was one of the best things they could have ever done. It was something completely different, and it worked. It drew.
Do you know how many calls I got from my Canadian friends after that game?
I mean, it was completely something that needed to be done, and as I said, it's just a matter of, the arena football has been such, as I said, the leader in innovation over the years, and everybody has taken it and called it their own. It's something I'm sure that something will come up and that the league will do something that nobody has ever seen or tweaked it enough. You know what I mean? I can only imagine. Now, Steve, in that case, does that mean, as an example, does every team have to be the same when it comes to the game product in stadium? You talked about you guys buying a new turf.
Yeah.
Does everybody need a new turf in order to keep the way that the product is on television and people go to see it?
I think eventually we have to phase in the new turf. But, you look at Salina's turf. It's the old Philly Soul turf. It looks amazing. You look at Southwest Kansas's turf. It was the old Maine Mammoth turf. I mean, it looks amazing. So I think that you eventually gradually phase it in. But I think that that's something we look at for the new franchises. What's your turf going to look like? What's your design going to look like? And make sure it looks good on TV. I don't know if a lot of people know this or not, but our Vice games are all produced by the same production company, and they just travel around the country. Our Evergreen Now productions are local-based productions. And so each team kind of has their own different production, but I think where you need to see more uniformity on the score bar at the bottom. I mean, everyone needs to have the same score bar, same look, same consistency, so that our fans, whether they're watching a Billings game, a Southwest game, or a Salina game, or any other team game, they're going to know exactly where the the information they're looking for is, and that same information is the minimal information that should be located throughout the league. So I think that's something that we look at the off season, is that we need that consistency throughout the league. It's a good product. It's an easy fix for most people. So that's something that I foresee changing in the off season. But I think as far as what kind of product we look at on the field, and I guess the 2026 production compared to our current or past production, I think you start with the Vice games, you start with the national production games, and then kind of go from there and eventually work it in for everyone. But I do agree that the product on the field needs to be standardized a little bit more, but that's something that would be a long-term phase in for our existing teams, but a minimal standard for our expansion teams.
And props, by the way, to I think it's DNA Productions that have been doing the Vice games. They've been doing an amazing job, and they've taken. It looks like they've been taking feedback from the league, because there've been slight modifications in the graphics. Usually at first it was just the AF1 graphic itself. Now it's actually AF1 on Vice, that type of thing. So it's just taking advantage of that thing. So
I will say the camera work last night needed a little bit of help.
Yeah,
they struggled a little bit last night keeping up with the ball, but you learn. It's about learning. So,
hey Steve, so we got to ask. We know you have a third jersey. When's that going to debut?
Saturday night. It comes out this weekend. It's our major sponsor is TDS Fiber, and so it's TDS Fiber week, and so we'll be wearing the gunmetal gray this week. It'll
I can't wait.
Gray's on gray. It's gonna look good.
It's
gonna look good.
That looks good. I love that. As in week one, Steve, we may just be on the other side of the board, so to speak, but we really appreciate you coming on. We really do, because you're sticking with the thing that you said. I mean, you're transparent, you're open, you're giving as much information as you can, and I hope the fans that have been watching got a lot out of this. Besides finding out about Malik Henry. Remember, by the way, breaking news.
I definitely can tell you I've watched the last 3 episodes of Last Chance U now, the season 3 of where he's on. I've definitely been watching it now, so I've been getting caught up on some stuff.
Yeah, but again, thanks, Steve. I mean, it's you are you're an integral part of Arena football. You are a part of the Arena football family now, and we're curious. Once we have you on again, we're really curious to see how the season ends, how it goes for you, how it goes for Billings or the Outlaws, and all the best for the rest of the season, my friend. Because it's not easy being an owner, as I can see now.
No, it's a very thankless job at time. You take on a lot of stress to lose money every year, and it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense. You do it because you love the game and you love the community. And like I said, I love this game. I love the players. I love the coaches. I love being in Billings. But at some point, love is very subjective. And I think you have to be very objective, or you can lose everything in this sport. I mean, you see a lot of people that have literally been very subjective, got very emotional, and not looked at the objectiveness of their business decisions. And I think that I wanted to make it known now, and not surprise or shock anyone, that when we objectively look at things throughout the rest of the season and moving forward, that we're going to make some tough decisions one way or another, whether it's staying in Billings, whether it's going somewhere else or something like that. It's going to be quite a road to make that decision. It's going to be tough. But I want to make it very clear. As soon as I make a decision, we'll let people know we make that decision. But if things turn around in Billings, I wouldn't be in Billings forever. I'd sign if the situation was right, I'd sign the contract to be in Billings forever and ever and ever and ever. We just got to make sure that situation is correct moving forward.
Yeah, and the fact that you're willing to stay with the game itself just says tons. That if for some reason this doesn't work out in Billings, the fact that you're still wanting to be part of this league, part of this game, just says it says so much.
I believe in the game. I believe in the product. I believe in what this stands for. I mean, we had one of our guys get called up to the New York Giants training camp this last week, And so I believe in really giving back. And because I'll admit, I've done well. I've been very blessed in the opportunities that I've been given, the success that we've been given. Like, I'm very thankful for what I have. And I find this is one way of really giving back. And so I just want to make sure that I've always said since day one, I don't want to lose everything I've worked for an arena football team. And, there's a lot of mouths and a lot of tables that are very dependent on me making good business decisions. And this is one of those times when I have to make a business decision one way or another, whatever we decide to do.
I will, I don't know, Scott, if you wanted to go over based on the time that we've been on tonight. They were some good games this week, but I wanted to leave, at least for Steve, to answer one quick thing that did, and I'll leave it to the fans here. From Zach, Steve, he says, if I own a team, do you feel it is required to have a team president when starting a team? Or is there enough opportunities to balance that workload for business items without one?
If I own a team, you feel I think you need someone. I think it's very much a plus when deciding whether to award a franchise to a team or not. Is do they know the who's who and the what's what of indoor and arena football? Because it's a very unique industry. It's very, like I say, you have to have the trade deal done. You have to know that the barter system is very important for the success of the organization. And so you really got to, I think it's important that you have a full-time person dedicated to making sure the operations of a startup go correctly. I mean, when I bought the team in Wyoming, I knew I didn't have the time to dedicate full-time for it. So I needed someone, and we hired a GM, and then Coach Walker kind of took over. We had to make sure we had someone that knew what was going on to run the organization correctly. And, Coach Walker learned from Coach Arbette when Coach Arbette was the GM and kind of ran San Jose for a long time. And so, Walker has those connections and those experiences and those kind of that knowledge that's necessary to run the organization. And so I think that you need the sell staff. You need someone who can sell season tickets. You need someone that can sell corporate partnerships, that has that local connection and that local flavor. And so you have to have someone there full-time to dedicate to it. And I think that's an important aspect to look at when determining whether, like I said, to award a franchise to a city or to a team and to a group of owners or not.
Amen.
Quickly, from a fan's point of view, Steve, what do you think of this past week? I mean, I think for the first time we had two quarterbacks pass for over 300 yards each, which
Great.
I loved to see.
Mhm.
The game went into overtime. I mean, it seemed a game went into overtime. Yes, I know I'm saying it again, but the other league firsts. The pick six off the rebound nets for the touchdown. I know it was against you. I'm not trying to slight you, but it did happen. But it's it seemed that the games too are getting more competitive.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you and the league were hoping the Vice games would be a little bit more closer, but I'm sure that will depending on this week. I'm sure we'll have a close one, obviously when it comes to Nashville and Albany. But from week 0 to now, I'm sure you have seen a drastic change when it comes to not only the players that you've been able to bring in from week 0 till now, and how head coaches are finally able to learn what the correct and the niche aspects are to arena football in order to win and have a competitive team.
I think it definitely shows our teams are changing. Our coaches are adapting. I mean, look at Oregon and Washington. This is a complete reversal of what we've been seeing with Oregon and Washington. Oregon gets their second win. Salina, one holding call away from, from a, and that comes down to another question. Do you go for the field goal there? Do you go for the touchdown? What do you do in that situation? And I think everyone has their own opinion of your fourth down. You got a great kicker. Do you just go for the field goal? Do you have 10 seconds left? Do you think you can get another play in before you go for the field goal? I mean, that holding call, I guess it was holding, and it is what it was. we saw the game work out exactly like it was. We didn't want the game to end on a deuce. It didn't end on a deuce. And so you had a great game there with Albany's walk-off there win. Billings, or Southwest, you see it was a rough game for us. It is what it is.
It was a good game, though.
It was.
It was a rough game for you guys, but it was a great game.
I can tell you that the momentum of that game changed when there was that call for the chop block. The momentum of that game changed when we saw that Billings run that bad snap back for a touchdown, and then they call us on a chop block. That was a game. That's a 14-point swing right there. Salina or Southwest doesn't score, we get 7. That's a game. That's a shift, and I think that's something that you'll see addressed in the future. Is do we have a tush push in our league? The only way to stop a tush push is typically kind of going below the knees and getting up under the pads, but that's illegal under our rules. So how do you stop a tush push? We really have to get a consistent rule set here now, and we either have the tush push and a chop block and going below the knees, or you don't have a tush push and then you outlaw the getting below the knees. I mean, you can't. You got to have it one way or another. And so it was a weird call to make on such a big play, but if it's against the rules, it needs to be called. And so I think there's a rule issue there that needs to be fixed. But again, there's no excuse. When you start arguing rules and arguing refs, you're just desperate to talk about why your team lost. And that's not what I want to go down. There's no reason. I mean, it was just, we're making those adjustments necessary to make sure that loss doesn't happen again, is what I think I probably should be saying. But it was a great weekend of football. Our games are getting better. And I think that you see, our Vice game when we lost to Salina 2 weeks ago, it was a Vice game, and it came down to, that pick at the end. Last player, I mean, it should be last team that holds the ball should win the game. And that's what happened this weekend with the Salina Albany game. And so our product's getting to where we need to be. It's getting more competitive. We're seeing better football. We're going to see great football for the rest of the season. These coaches are learning the game. We're getting the players figured out. We're halfway through. I mean, most of our teams have only had, I know in Billings, we've only had 6 games. We still got 6 more to go. Some teams, Southwest has had 8 games already, I think. So things are getting to where they need to go.
Yeah. And it's, I agree with you. Things have gotten better when it comes to play. I'm hoping there is a little bit more parity, but as you said, things are, and as I said too, things are getting better. I don't think I saw a day, and I didn't know Coach O that much before him last year, and because I didn't know that much indoor football. But if I were to say if there's a coach that I've seen that has learned the most, that has really learned the game of arena football properly, it is Coach O. He showed. You bring in a Rakeem Cato, you need a quarterback who can play arena football properly, and he had a pedigree. Same thing with Malik coming in. I'm sure there's going to be a huge difference. Scoring is up. Albany and Salina set a league record for most points in a game.
Special teams play is significantly better, and that's been amazing last couple of weeks.
It goes to the kickers. It goes to the kickers that we mentioned earlier in the show. It's because they're finally learning most teams in this league have a competent kicker. I would probably say it would probably be 5 of the 8 teams have a competent kicker. It just needs to change because as Steve saw, as we've seen this week and the past couple of weeks, they're using the nets properly. It's not always deuce, 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 but it's using the nets properly, getting that bar ball, getting that thing. It's the game itself. And
so, Tim, do you like the deuce or not? There's a lot of coaches that don't like the deuce.
I'm on the fence. Okay. I'm on the fence, and most people know that I'm a purist. But I looked at how it works, and I understand it. I honestly think, this is dating me, but this is going. I looked at how in the old Continental Basketball Association where they would give points for the team that used to win a quarter, as an example. And to me, that's kind of like what the deuce kind of is. I'd rather see arena football similar to banana ball. Banana ball in itself is a hell of a game because it's a combination of a sport that is done within 2 hours. You know what I mean? But it's pure baseball. But when it comes to the deuce, I think there should be limitations on when it can be used. I don't think that I don't think that will change, but I think there should be some limitations. Put it within the last 2 minutes, maybe,
Okay.
because
I
as
like
we
it.
saw last year, when the 4 point did exist,
Mhm.
coaches used it properly. Coach Ware used it properly. So I think there should be limitations to the deuce. But again, it doesn't take anything away from the kickers, especially when you have a competent kicker.
Tim, should we be given
Nope.
2 points for the team that scores the most points in a quarter? Would that add? I mean, I don't know. These are questions that.
That turns the game into a ball control game, and I don't want that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't either. But it's a matter of points.
Yeah.
Because even if you can play pure arena football, you can still throw in a quote unquote bonus.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's just a matter of, I remember some of the rules that were originally going to come out for the FCF basketball league that never got off the ground. I remember hearing some of the stuff where it'd be, 4-pointers would be activated somewhere on the court by the fans. If everybody remembers what FCF was. There were some interesting rules in FCF football. A lot of them, I don't think it was indoor football, but I don't think a lot of that stuff it took away from the game.
Yeah.
But as you're saying before, Steve, maybe there needs to be something that gets the league back on John Boy Media like it was a couple weeks ago. Getting back onto ESPN.
It's the gimmicky
everybody
stuff that happens. It's the gimmicky stuff like the mall brawl in the mall that gets eyes on the impressions. That's all it's about is impressions. What do we do to increase the impressions? That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So I'm with Off the Wall here, and it is something that hasn't happened. I also like the deuce, and it is a due rule that if it goes under the net, it comes out to the 20. So there is a penalty currently if it goes under the net. But I'd actually bring back the 1 point for the receiving team. If you don't kick it deep enough and you go under the net, it's 1 point for the receiving team. So you either hit the net, get the deuce, or you get a penalty at that point. So make it a little more of a risk. If you're going for it and you don't get enough flip behind it, you just cost your team.
I get that. But for me, my thought is this. I agree with you. The kickers I've seen, there are some great kickers that I've seen in the IFL. But honestly, as we saw what happened last year in the AFL, the ball makes all the difference and the kicker makes all the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I don't think don't put in another way to score some points unless if you can get a competent kicker who can use the nets properly.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we can start getting some of these guys who can get bar balls consistently, can you imagine the chaos that will cause? Chaos. And again, sorry, I have to go back to it again, Steve. That interception.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I've seen one of those, off the net for pick six.
Loved it.
That's a part of the game.
It's good.
Like you, Steve, when I went to go see the Albany Firebirds for the very first time versus the Miami Hooters back in 1992, walking into the Knickerbocker Arena, I agree with you. Just seeing the nets for the very first time are awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
It's part of the game. And people say, well, again, no. There's a reason why it's called arena football.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why. It's a different game in itself. So, but it's everybody has their own opinion. I get it. We have, real quickly. Vice game, Nashville, Albany. My guess is Albany will probably be favored. I'll give them the hometown. They'll be favored by 3. That's it. Washington, Billings. Billings, I think will. I think Steve, your team, I think will be favored by 7, or a little bit more actually, probably between 7 and 9 points. And then Corpus and Oregon. Unfortunately, I'm going to put this one as a pick 'em because I don't know. I really don't know what the status is, so I don't want to. We'll see what happens with Corpus and Oregon this week. So it's Oregon surprised some people. If Corpus can put a competent team on the field with a good quarterback, this could be a surprise game too. So I'll leave that one as it is as a pick 'em. So, but.
Yeah. That's fair. I mean,
Obviously,
we don't know what Corpus has at this point, so or what they're going to be.
yeah, no, we don't. Um, Steve, they want to get tickets for the game on Saturday. How would they do so?
outlawsfootball.com/tickets, and then it gives a link to the Metro Park page to purchase tickets through the Access app, AXS, or at the box office throughout the week.
Either one of those, and just I have to ask because it may save some money just to get them in the game, give you guys money.
I think that
Box
for
office fees.
box office, you save access fees. I think if you go to the box office, they're cheaper if you actually go to Metro Park and get the ticket.
There we go.
Yep.
And as you said, you're debuting your gunmetal grays this week.
Yeah, exactly. I think we win tonight. Maybe we should wear them for home and away the rest of the season. I think black and white might be cursed, so we'll be going grays every game for the rest of the season.
There you go.
Yeah.
Steve, thanks, man. As usual.
No,
I know. I said it before. I want to thank you again. I hope the fans took quite a bit away from this conversation. I hope it gives some more insight on what owners and what the league is looking to do for the rest of 25 and going through to 26 and beyond. It's just a matter of learning from the past, looking forward to the future, and arena football will be okay. Arena football will be okay. So
absolutely. No, and thanks for the opportunity. And I love coming on with you guys. I mean, we've been here for 2 hours. I can't believe we've been sitting here for 2 hours. I mean, it just flew by. I did bring my laptop charger though this time because I know it died.
Yeah, that's right.
But no, it's been a great time. And no, I love Billings. I don't want to sell my place there. I love going to Billings. I love going to Red Lodge. I love going to. I love not paying sales tax because in Montana we don't have sales tax. So no, I would love for Billings, Montana to be our forever home. And I don't mean to vent or anything or really talk about, we have the best fans in the league there. But again, we're looking at it from a business standpoint where our home should be. And I figured when Adam texted me today, Adam Pelletier with the league texted me today that my innocent tweet or X comment or whatever you call them now may have stirred some stuff up. So, and I'm very unintentional, but it is what it is. And again, I always want to be transparent with the fans. That's the least I can do with them is be transparent, not have any kind of surprises or anything of that nature. So I appreciate you guys for giving me the opportunity to come on here and talk a little bit about arena football, which is kind of one of my favorite things to talk about.
Yeah, that's why we do this.
I think fish hiring Gruden. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you said on the internet, Steve. I don't know what you're talking about. You know.
Chuck Gruden is now. It's great. He's another team owner. I can't wait to see him at the league meetings.
That'll be interesting.
That'll
be fun. Yeah. That'll be interesting. You're welcome anytime, Steve. You know that. And good luck this week, and good luck for the rest of the season. And we'll be
Tim,
for you. You know,
I appreciate that, and I can't wait to see you in Calgary.
Hey, if you are going, let me know because I sent you that text.
I saw that. Yep.
Let me know.
We can go to Tim Hortons. We can go have an ice cap, and we can go.
Well, I was about to say we aren't in Montreal, so we can't go have poutine. So we'll have to wait for that for another time. But yeah,
wait, that's not a nationwide thing. I thought that was like everybody up there.
No, there's good poutine and then there's crappy poutine. I will say that for sure. It's a thing in itself. And if anybody wants to know what poutine is, just DM me over on X. I'll tell you what it is.
But Montana has good. We don't have Bloody Marys in Montana. It's Caesars, and we have the poutine. I think we say it poutine, but it's a Montana though. We have all that stuff in Montana. It's small world.
I'm still good with my Kansas City barbecue though, so
that's fair.
Hey, actually, KC barbecue on a poutine. There we go.
Oh, that might actually be really
some
good.
Brisket.
That would be pretty fire. That would be pretty fire. I will admit. Yeah. So again, greatly appreciate you, Steve, and I know we'll be talking with you very soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. With that, we're gonna call it. Thanks everyone for coming out. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Honesty is wonderful. We all love it. So, all right. Until next week, we'll see you then.
Bye, guys.
Tackles we discuss. Feel the rush, come join